Hi everyone, I'm Mark. Look, I need to ask for help and I don't know who to ask and I don't know how. My situation is just so fucking complex. Like, I don't even know where to begin. You know what? I'm on a disability pension. I've been on a disability pension since 1999. I have 2 children who are now adults. And then yeah, I guess I don't know how much detail to go into in terms of my disabilities. I've mainly experienced like intellectual disabilities, however I've also got physical problems and stuff like that as well. Basically, to cut a long story short, my father did something very unique which enabled me to overcome some significant adversity early in life, which was to do with my alcoholism and drug addiction. He basically accelerated the process of that, which is something that I've spoke about in greater detail in other videos. After years of addiction and never finishing school and stuff like that, I came to the city via rehabilitation and I guess learned a lot about myself throughout my recovery from alcoholism and other substances, which involved self-development on, all kinds of sort of levels and, which included in facing some of my greatest fears, one of which was learning to dance and, that become one of my greatest passions and, to the point that I studied dance for 2 years full time. That's not including, I've studied, done, lots more training over the years in terms of casual classes and stuff, but I studied 2 years full time. 1 year was the first year of a degree in contemporary dance through TAFE of South Australia, at the Arts Centre at the Centre of Performing Arts or whatever they call themselves on Light Square in Adelaide, South Australia. Then I dropped out due to injury, and then I went and began a big part of my recovery from alcoholism and addiction was, working with others and stuff like that. So, it got to the point that I was injuring myself at dance and, I was a father and stuff like that, because originally I was going to, I went to rehab and I was going to get sober for my children and I was going to go back to Whyalla, but, I realised all I had was my children there and I didn't know that I could stay clean and sober and, so I ended up, once I'd finished that rehab, I established myself in the city and I was able to, I didn't know I could stay sober and I didn't want to destroy their lives, so I had all this extra support here and I stayed sober and I was able to be a better father from a distance and, I went off and become a dancer and then, once I had those injuries I had that choice as a father, what would, I could continue doing injuries. By then I was in my mid-20s and, I could have continued doing injuries and I may have never got the qualification what was a responsible thing to do as a father and, as part of my, a big part of my recovery from alcoholism and drug addiction was, you know, working with others, which was another great passion in my life. I told myself that, you know, because I'd done an injury and I had to repeat like the first year of my TAFE degree in contemporary dance. I said if I get into university, then I'll go to university. So I applied for university originally to do psychology and social science, which I transferred after the first year into a social work degree as, you know, I fitted I fitted better I fitted better in the school of social work that encouraged me to like question society, and you know, they basically, it was the first place I felt like I was fitted where I wasn't told off for questioning society. They were basically, you know, told us, you know, some of the, or introduced the degree, they didn't pull any punches, and told us what it was about, you know, all the types of things that we'd be working with, you know, like, you know, all your standard sort of stuff, domestic violence, bloody drug and alcohol, mental health, blah, 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 all the different sort of, I guess, homelessness, all those different sort of individual issues that are often, you know, intertwined with comorbidity and that sort of stuff. But the, you know, the big issue they talked about was, you know, our ageing population, and the fact that, you know, basically they said in 20 years everyone will either be the elderly or employed looking after the elderly, you know, so, which could never happen. It was, you know, that would lead to the collapse of basically our entire social structure. So I put my head down, and like, I had to relearn to read and write properly, because I couldn't read and write very well. I knew the basics, but, you know, I'd never finished school, so I had to like teach myself how to use a computer and how to read and write properly. And then I got questioned because I started learning like American grammar and shit like that, because of the types of textbooks that I was reading throughout psychology and stuff like that, and like it was the first place I ever fitted. I fitted in AA as well, where there was one of everyone, I suppose, and you know, the whole, you know, idea of looking at yourself and their format of self-examination, and, you know, working on myself to become a better person, and, you know, I sort of fitted in the dance community. There was stuff I saw that was unhealthy, that I sort of just steered clear from, you know, for many years. I sort of, you know, but there was many free spirits. It was great. It was a place where people didn't drink, and, you know, where got like massive ADHD and stuff like that. I'm very hyperactive, you know, I like to move, and I like, you know, it was sort of a great recreational sort of community where I felt that I fitted, and, you know, there was sort of one of everywhere. It was like there's such a diversity in like cultures, and like this is mainly Latin dance, things like salsa, and later there was bachata and kizomba come later down the track as well, but zouk and things like that, which I didn't do a great deal of, but the point is there was massive diversity. There was every culture, every age, every background, stuff like that, and I fitted in. I was quite shy and reserved, but, you know, like eventually I slowly overcome my fear of dance, like I said, and to the point that I studied it for a couple of years, and, you know, you know, I practiced a lot and learnt a lot about relationships throughout that, like, you know, ended up having amazing connections, particularly with a lot of women who were, you know, when I was in my 20s, you know, often, you know, older than me, and there were other reasons why, you know, we weren't suitable for traditional relationships, but we were, you know, able to have loving connections and shit like that, you know. And then through university I deconstructed, you know, like those feminist type critiques of, you know, deconstructing like, you know, things like the institution of family and monogamy and all those, the sort of like, I guess, unnatural sort of patriarchal institutions. I don't know where I stand with all the whole idea of love, you know, the whole, my recovery, it become a bit more like, you know, love was a way of being and a way of treating people rather than, you know, like this fucking bullshit idea that most people think love is possession, you know. And I ended up, I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I felt sorry for a religious girl. I hooked up with a girl who was a year behind in my social work degree, and was also a dancer who ended up teaching for the biggest Latin dance school in Adelaide. And then the last 6 months of my degree, she sabotaged everything in my life. And there were circumstances that were out of my control that made it a lot easier for her to do that. My father nearly lost his leg and was dumped in my care, so next minute I was on a disability pension. I was burnt out at the beginning, so like it was a 4-year degree, like in the middle of the 3rd year. My best mate up and moved to fucking Darwin. Then my dad was dumped in my care after nearly losing his leg, and I was desperately fighting for his life. So what she did, how she set me up, was she destroyed my entire reputation socially. Like we weren't compatible, we hadn't been compatible for the whole relationship. I've done a 2-hour video going through that final couple of years, going through all the details, but basically she set me up by making me promise not to hook up with anyone on the dance scene, within the dance community. Then she turned around, dumped me for a dance partner, run back, told me how huge my fucking cock was, just that type of like emotional abuse, just fucking with my head, but continued running back telling me that she loves me, whilst I found out years later that she was running around telling everyone that I was obsessed with her to destroy my reputation. It was all about destroying my reputation within the dance community, destroying my... I worked so hard to try and make, not just get a degree to get a job, but to try and come up with a solution to the world's problems, to try and make, you know, I could see from what they explained to us at the beginning of the degree, I could see that no amount of money would save my children and everyone that I loved from, you know, where society was helping. So I studied as much as I could to learn as much as I could about human beings, and, you know, I guess the last 10,000 years of, you know, cultural evolution, you know, leading up to, you know, I guess the critical state of, or position that we're in as a species that we face. You know, we are rapidly destroying the planet, you know, and we don't really, you know, this is our generation we're facing, you know, we are in the middle of a mass extinction. You know, I don't need a fucking degree to point that out. You know, and the the sad thing is, like, fucking, well, I don't know what's sadder than the fact that we're going to kill just about everything else before we actually fucking die off ourselves, you know, in the bitter end, or, you know, like, but anyway, I worked really hard to come up with a solution, and they tormented and abused me while I desperately fought to save my father's life, you know, running back telling me she loves me whilst making me beg for my belongings back. It was a couple of months after we broke up that, like, there were the last sexual fucking favours and shit that I gave. I had no idea that, like, and people were changing. I didn't know what narcissistic abuse was. I didn't understand what gaslighting was. It was something that were topics I didn't cover in somehow throughout a 4-year social work degree, like, she literally turned, like, it was weird. I knew in my guts things were wrong. Like, people started turning against me, and I didn't, or treating me differently, and I didn't understand why. And then, you know, she manipulated a couple of other guys who were also associated with this particular Latin dance school, and they all joined in together. They started, like, the whole time I was seeing her, when she was teaching for this dance school, she wasn't allowed to fucking attend other dance schools' events. Then next minute, you know, she starts following me to other schools' events, you know, and I'm all confused because I've been promised not to hook up with anyone on the dance scene because she couldn't handle it. Then she's turned around and fucking done this full backflip, fucking rubbing it in my face and deliberately tormenting. Next minute she's on a fucking reality TV show, marrying my fucking son or some shit. Exact same time changes the whole way she fucking dressed. Everything from the colour of her hair, dyes it red, like, she was so drab the way she dressed. You look at the photos of her the whole time I knew her, dressed really much down, then started dressing like a Grey Street hooker, you know, like, not that I got anything against with, you know, how women want to dress. I'm very open-minded with that sort of stuff. The point is, it was all very deliberate attempts to, you know, emotionally abuse me and arouse jealousy and stuff like that. And, you know, whilst I'm desperately fighting to save my father, in the end I had the death of my father, in which at first she rung up and screamed at me that my dad dying was the best thing that ever happened to me. Then she kept playing these games. It was like every week, like, oh, we'll talk next week, and I'm getting more and more confused, and I was easy to confuse. I have disabilities and stuff like that. I never would have been able to get my degree without, like, if I didn't have a disability and pension, like, and, you know, it wasn't like that just gave me a little bit of extra money, so I was able to, so I didn't have to have a job on the side, and, you know, I was able to set up my own quiet study place. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do the work to get the degree. Other than that, there was no special allowances. It's not like they handed it to me. I had to work my guts out for this. You know? And then my ex-girlfriend killed herself, and then my best mate died. That was all between, like, the last few months of my degree, and, like, between then and my graduation. My best mate died on Valentine's Day. And, like, the coroner still hadn't been able to tell me why. And, you know, then I went out to go dancing. And, like, that little story, you know, like, went out to go dancing, there wasn't many people, and, like, we went through all these fucking stupid fucking games that just sent me fucking insane. Oh, we'll talk next week, and then she'd change it. She changed the plans last fucking minute. Then she'd set these, I went through the whole, like I said, it's a 2-hour video going through, it goes right up until the point when, you know, just before Dad died, like, the last time she run back telling me she loved me was, like, I think a week before Dad died, like, months after and there were little things that didn't make sense, like, she'd play these games, I will talk next week, you're not allowed to, no contact for a week, so I wouldn't do it. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, she changes her phone number. She had no reason to fucking change her phone number, you know. Except, so then when everyone run up asking, oh, how come you've changed your number? Oh, he's obsessed with me. You know, screams in my face that my dad dying is the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, what was a bigger violation than screaming in my face that my father dying was the best thing that ever happened to me? Was the fact that she ran around telling everyone that I'm obsessed with her. To destroy my fucking career. Just because she come from a fucking Her parents didn't love her. You should ask her when, about the time her parents come to watch us do a dance performance. Her parents have never seen her dance. Her parents don't give a fuck about her. Like, my parents come watch us dance, perform. You know, I had a loving family. You know, she come from fucking Burnside, where you just let fucking pedophiles fuck your kids. You know, and go to church and shit. They're fucking absolute scum. You know, and I felt sorry for her, and I didn't know, and I knew she lied. She lied to her closest friends and pretended to be a virgin for fucking, 10 years. It was all, but I felt sorry for her because I couldn't comprehend someone coming from such a loveless family. Anyway, my position, by the time she finished tormenting and abusing me, I had no one left. My degree had isolated me. One of my best friends had moved to Darwin, the other one was dead. My dad was dead. My other two friends just got jobs and got married, and then I never saw them again. I hadn't seen anyone for years because I've been studying so hard. So I was in isolation. Then I started relapsing real hard, and I got really sick. It took a lot of years and a lot of attempts at rehabilitation to get back clean. I just got one. I don't know whether you can see it. I just got my 6-year sobriety chip. 6 years without a drink, and over 6 years since I've taken any substances of fucking, of concern, illicit substances, which were a big part of my story. But I've got over 6 years clean and sober. However, the trauma of the severe, I ended up with severe post-traumatic stress disorder and complicated grief syndrome due to the abuse. And I had no one left. So I was completely traumatized. So then I started studying natural medicines, ancient medicines, indigenous medicines like ayahuasca and magic mushrooms and various other ancient medicines that have been used throughout, for thousands of years. Basically undertaking my own unsanctioned experimental research into their therapeutic value, and I found they provided, where I've put out a lot of work in relation to that, basically my theory with dimethyltryptamine, which is the main ingredient or the main active substance in ayahuasca, a shamanic brew that they use in the Amazon jungles, in the tribes there. It's often associated with spiritual healing and stuff like that. It's also found in all of our wattle trees throughout Australia, and there's evidence to suggest is I guess something that's considered sacred fruit. Was likely used by Indigenous Australians, and the nature of these experiences very much has many parallels to their dreaming and or dream time, or however that's respectfully or correctly pronounced. But I went basically in searching for a cure for the PTSD treatment, because I'd tried everything. I'd tried all these attempts at rehabilitation. I was finally clean and sober and off of everything, but I wasn't coping, so at all, and I was a year sober, so I went hammer and tongs exploring the therapeutic value of these various substances, and what I found that they major effects in provided extreme physical healing. They were extremely powerful experiences. I had coincidences in, at the same time that I began, I just happened to have been rear-ended by a truck, and I had a really bad back injury which I was able to heal through the use of these plant medicines. And my theory, I don't know if I should go into my theory. My theory is that DMT is a nutrient that is specific to the central nervous system. It basically increases the power and the efficiency of autoimmune functions by about tenfold. This provides actions that are anti-cancer, antiviral, neuroregenerative, as well as plays major roles in the regulation of inflammatory systems and stuff like that, and cellular proliferation. This whole, not only major therapeutic value and potential to revolutionise medical treatment across a range of conditions, including the treatment of cancer, neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. But also, has a potential to serve as preventative to all of these conditions if, properly reintegrated into society. I need help trying to get, I'm currently trying to found a organisation called Universal Asylum, which I've got registered, and I've been pushing over the last couple of years to try and have, the DMT tested for its therapeutic value against COVID-19. However, I just got myself in a whole load of trouble and got myself psychiatrically detained, and I wouldn't tell them what the substance was, and they wouldn't believe me. All of my work is backed up by hardcore medical science, and I can't get anyone to look at it. The one doctor that's looked at it, I've actually refined my work a little bit more, because what I do, I ended up basically, after I attempted to have the treatment tested against COVID-19, during COVID-19, I was able to find a great deal of medical science supporting all of the things that I've just said, that it's anti-cancer, and neuroregenerative, antiviral, major roles in, basically supporting my theory that I am the only person in the world who is claiming that DMT is a nutrient. Other things are saying, this is a drug that is anti-cancer, this is a drug that is neuroregenerative, and then there's other science saying, interesting, this is interesting, we can't find a toxicity level on this drug, we can't find, people don't appear to develop, this DMT has been tested on humans in clinical studies, and one of the interesting things is that people don't become tolerant to it. All of these, but I'm the only person who's taken a step back and gone, well, hang on, that's because it's not a drug. This is because it is a form of sustenance. This is its own type of nutrient that is specific to the central nervous system. That is why you don't develop a tolerance to it. That's why it's non-toxic and you can't overdose on it. The reason you don't, it's like broccoli. You don't develop a fucking tolerance to broccoli, or other vegetables and other forms of food. It has greater characteristics of a food than a drug, but so far I've only got the one doctor who has actually read the medicals, or read my theory, which I've since refined, after burning a flag in Victoria Square, Adelaide City Centre, and putting that online, and I've tried everything to try and get help, trying to bring attention to this, Like, I need help. I need help to get back on my feet. I need help to find a job that's right for me. Like, I've never had a job before. Not really. I had a job when I was little, when I was really young. I had a job working at a chocolate factory, but that was when I was a teenager. I had one job since I was at university, and it was only for a few weeks before I relapsed. And then I had to basically quit. And that was, I enjoyed some of that working. That was with Life Without Barriers, but it was like, it wasn't long enough to like call it a job. You know, like, I had a job for a few weeks. Like, I've got no experience, I don't know how to get a job and how to get a right job. I don't have anyone, I don't have any support. I don't know anyone who knows how to get a job to ask for advice. Especially like the type of work that I'm applying for. I don't have it. Like, even if I got like the perfect job, I don't have any social supports to fucking like to get that initial start. I mean, when I'm running well, like, and I built a beautiful life. I had a beautiful life. Now I stood up to the dance studio. You know what happened when I stood up to the dance studio? Because like some fucking little rag fucking screamed in my face that my dad dying's the best thing that ever happened to me. You know what happened? You know what he did? He put out a post to 17,000 fucking people claiming that I'm crazy. Oh, he's crazy. He became obsessed with her. A woman who made me beg for my belongings back for months continued running back telling me that she loved me for fucking months whilst gaslighting me and getting guys with little dicks to fucking join in bullying me. Completely isolated, tormented and abused me till everyone was dead in my life, and then grabbed me by the fucking collar and screamed in my face, "Your dad dying, the best thing that's ever happened to you," and then threatened to tell everyone about my disabilities if I ever mentioned his little dick again. Most people would have killed themselves. There's no regulation. I need help. I need help for someone. Since then, I've fucking put in another review against another Adelaide dance school who's run by someone who has been banned from being a school teacher. He's had his working with people fucking clearance removed, but there's no regulation of the dance industry. Dance industry is working with fucking humans. Right? You know what, this piece of fucking shit is most likely a fucking pedophile. Fucking is running around claiming that he's got restraining orders against me. Fucking has manipulated some other fucking clown. Now there's about 4 people, at least 4, because everyone sided with the big dance school. Because everyone on the Adelaide Latin dance community thinks it's okay to fucking, for a woman to fucking destroy a man's life with fucking lies and fucking abuse. It's absolute fucking bullshit. So yeah, I've got fucking someone, a couple of them, there is no one. No one has restraining orders against me. You can't get a restraining order against someone because, you know what, I put a fucking review on his website because he bullied a fucking woman who was just out of surgery. Bullies actually a lot of women. He bullied a woman who I fucking cared a lot about just after she'd had fucking surgery. He also bullied someone with a disability who jumped off the Maya Centre and then covered up the bullying at his fucking dance school, another person with disabilities. Like, I need help from the fucking Australian public. I don't know how to bring fucking national attention. It's like I am fucking invisible. Like, I've got a fucking folder full of fucking medical science that says the substance is anti-fucking cancer,
Neuroregenerative. This offers a fucking potential treatment to fucking dementia, which would take massive fucking
Pressure off of the fucking health system. I don't know how to get a job.
You know, so I burnt a fucking flag in the city. I got charged with property damage. It's all been to court. I was trying to get this folder in front of a court of law so he could look at the science, so it's submitted on a public fucking record, right? That the judge has seen this science going, what the fuck? Why is this being suppression? Why is research, and it's being suppressed for